Coming up on Super Boothers, Ryan and I discuss a topic near and dear to my heart: how to make more money per event. If you're thinking about what you can offer as new add-ons or upgrades to increase your revenue per event, stay tuned. Are you struggling to fill your calendar with events? Stop letting your photo booths collect dust on the weekends. Google Ads is one of the most effective ways to acquire customers, and it's how I get the majority of my business. We created a program especially for photo boothers that show you how you can use Google Ads to fill up your calendar. Check it out at courses.superboothers.com.
Hello and welcome to Super Boothers. My name is Ryan.
And I'm Ismail.
I love that music. It just never gets old.
Yeah, it definitely gets you in the mood. If you're not tapping your feet, you're doing something wrong.
I actually like it whenever we record in studio, and hopefully we get to do that next month. But whenever we do that, like, you're seriously like in a groove.
Yeah. It feels a little weird because you're just like doing the little shuffle by yourself, but then there's an audience. So, but you kind of have to do it because you're used to it.
Yeah. So I'm going to rewind it a little bit. Whenever we were in Australia, I just came across my masterclass and the video of it, which I haven't watched the video in its entirety. However, this one little section that I did watch, I was a little interested with it. I'm a little curious as to how much it's changed or how much it stayed the same. And what I mean by that is, and actually it's available at boothcon.com.au for purchase for last year. However, one of the things that we talked about was upgrades. And I'm curious to know what upgrades you offer.
Now you're talking about like add-on options?
That's what an upgrade is.
Listen, there's different terms. I'm just clarifying.
Upgrade is in like memory book. Again, I don't do scrapbooks, but I will do memory books.
That was actually the first thing I was going to say, and I learned that from you. I do offer the memory book. I switched from the scrapbook station. That can be a whole topic of itself. Otherwise, let me think. That's probably the number one selling one. The other depends on the booth type that I'm offering, but some of them I do the social media kiosk or the social media upgrade or the add-on.
Yeah.
And I would say those two are by far the top two.
The biggest selling.
Yeah, it's not even
Will
close.
you do like customized backdrops, or like if someone says, "Oh, will you do some glitter stuff?"
Yeah, that's maybe a distant like third, fourth is the custom backdrops or customizing the booth wrap and whatnot, but it's not close to those top two, at least for me.
See, I think I need to like change my way of doing things because I'm very anti-backdrop except for green screen. Like, I just don't see where the value is in having. I mean, there are some planners that hate to have a green screen, so I get it. I just don't sell it as much as I think I have an opportunity to. Like, I would love to have like a white marble, you know?
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it from like an ease point of view for you, it's easier to use the green screen because you can just do everything with that, right?
I do everything with it, but I'm wondering if I'm getting to the point where I'm just being lazy. Well, I am. I answered my own question.
You are being lazy. It's more efficient to do it that way. But some events, like these corporate activations, they like having the custom backdrop with their branding, right? They don't want to have a blank green screen. They want people walking by to see their branding on the backdrop. So, and those are usually the people who buy that. It's not really social events that often, although some of them do. It's mostly the corporate clients.
But do you like, because I don't do this. I mean, I will force green screen down everyone's throat whenever I have an opportunity. However, there's an event that I bid on recently where I proposed doing a custom backdrop. And I think that the price point is just so off-putting. I mean, because it's expensive to have a custom backdrop printed for an event. You know, with like their specific logo.
In my area, I don't think
in my country,
in my area, I don't think it's that expensive. Like, I actually kind of price the green screen upgrade similar to the custom backdrop. Yeah.
See, I just think that it's easier just to do a green screen and call it a day. Like I literally use a green
I mean,
screen
it's
for
everything.
everything. Like the tin type thing that I did, I used a green screen on.
No, it's great to have the green screen. I'm not knocking it, but yeah, and there's always different ways of doing it. I just think if I'm going to go through the effort of ordering a custom printed backdrop that is similar to the work involved in creating a custom background and green screen, so I should price them both. Plus, green screen just sounds more, to me, maybe I'm wrong here, but it just sounds like a more, I don't know, it sounds cooler than just a custom backdrop. Oh, it's green screen. You can select different backgrounds. I think people value that more.
I wonder how accurate that is. Because
This is an assumption here.
yeah, like I mean, because I don't know, and I don't have an opinion on it either way. I just wonder like what the perception of it is. I really find that I have to explain what a green screen is all the time.
See, I don't have to do that with the custom backdrop.
Sure.
It's easy. And what I do is I also pitch that they keep it after the event. So you get a custom backdrop, you keep it.
Sure. Because I mean, why else would you have it? Yeah, and you're
Right.
just paying
I
for
don't want
the spandex or the whatever. So you're doing the spandex,
Right.
not the vinyl, right?
Now, no, I don't think we do this. It depends. It depends. But I would probably say more often than not, it's not the spandex. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, guys. I know people hate the vinyl.
We're just ending the show right
It's-
now. I
it's the
just think
vinyl.
I'm done with it. Thank you so much for listening.
I'm trying to remember if it's actually the vinyl. It may not be. I don't know. That's not something that I handle.
So
brother does
here's
that.
here's my thing is I'm wondering if I'm working on like things that I just need to do just to kind of reinvigorate the business and just I think it's that kind of time to like change it up for me.
Oh, this is very timely because I'm actually going through this exercise as well, trying to think about what other add-ons or upgrades I can offer. And there's a lot of them out there, and I don't know which ones are really worth the effort. So maybe we can talk this through together.
One of the things I'm doing right now is kind of going through a magazine just to kind of see what other people are doing, because it's almost that time of year to like redo ads and redo websites and redo whatever branding that you want to do for the next year, what have you. And I'm kind of in that phase right now. Like, yes, my website is pretty much a constant work in progress. However, I think what I want to do is just revise some things. Like the hero image that I've had on there, I've had for almost 2 years now, and I'm kind of getting sick of it, and I need to change it up a little bit. I know I want to do like an all-encompassing video. I've started to do this stuff. Again, one tip that I would recommend is to go through every single event that you've done in essentially like the last year and pick out one main perfect photo from every single event. And then you have just a nice little large portfolio of what you've done that you can use as like a representative of your work.
Yeah, no, the gallery is key. But what about like actual services or other add-ons that you can offer to increase your revenue per event?
Will you
right?
Will you work on ideas before you sell them? I mean, we've talked about this like with like a mirror booth, but like, will you like in what I'm getting at is like, for example, I'm working on the tin type event before I sell it, which is normally not how it goes. Normally I'll wait for a client to say, hey, listen, I want to do, something vintagey, but not normal, but more of a portrait, or like they'll explain it to me and then I'll offer it. So for me to design something prior to is not normal, but I'm asking you is, will you design something like that before you sell it?
Yes. I think that is where I'm at now. In the past, I've probably reacted to what people were asking for specifically, and of course you still do that when people want custom stuff. You react and you deliver it. But now I'm in a place where I'm trying to find and experiment with other things I can sell and offer to increase the money I make per event. Because no matter how great you are, it's harder and harder to do more and more and more events per year. You got to grow the team, you got to manage more people, you got to have your marketing system on point. And the easier way to do it is just to make more money per event. So where that leads me is, what else can I offer? So that's something that I've been thinking about, and I've actually been talking to a lot of listeners one-on-one to see what people find that works for them. And I've encountered some pretty creative things.
Anything you
Probably
care to tell
things that
publicly?
Ryan you wouldn't do, but it's Like, for example, there's a gentleman that does very well, he says, and he's kind of in my area, not really that close, but not too far. He does very well with laser tag
I mean,
rentals.
yeah, that's not photo
Now,
booth
this is
related.
really
I mean,
drifting
yeah,
away
it's
from
event
photo
related,
booths.
but
It's not, but yeah, but for those of us who are like trying to get into more of the event, not just the photo booth, that kind of stood out to me because it was so different. But I don't know if I'm going to do that. It's just really
well, that's
it's
another
kind
thing
of a
is I
different
get
lane.
a lot of leads for karaoke rental. I'm like, I don't do karaoke rental, but it's looking like I need to start doing karaoke rental because there's leads coming in left and flipping right. Because
Yes, I've seen that as well.
I'm
And
not gonna do
why haven't you looked
karaoke
into it?
rental. That's not my thing.
So then, when you're thinking about your thing,
Sure.
that really limits the upgrades or add-ons you can offer.
I'm just a
right?
bitter old
You're
man,
operating
a
within
little
a small
photo
circle.
booth hermit.
But you know what? Speaking of this stuff, I've seen you do creative things where you do upgrades or different packages or services that are not that different. Like
Yeah,
we
like the
talked
different
about
styles.
recently,
It's all the same equipment, just
um,
different applications of
let's
it.
say the headshot station.
Ooh, I just got an idea right now.
Correct. So
I'm gonna
that's kind of a
do
way of
like
doing
a
this. But
Warhol
I
booth,
personally, go ahead.
like Andy Warhol. Yeah. No. So, for
You're
example,
going
Andy
into art
Warhol
now.
did.
You lost me.
There's
Explain, please.
he did it with Marilyn Monroe. He did it with Campbell's Soup, where it's like 4 photos of essentially the same photo, but essentially, well, now what we would call would be different filters applied to it. But again, they're like super saturated. So like one would be like a red, one would be a pink, one would be a blue, one would be yellow, but it's all the same image, just applied differently. I'm totally going to do that.
But again,
No.
so you don't seem very willing
No.
to drift away from the photo stuff, right? So maybe this is where we differ because I'm looking. Again, I haven't.
You're
done this
using
yet.
like
I'm
lyrics of
just
songs,
thinking out loud here,
like
so
thinking
please
out
forgive
loud
me.
is an Ed
But
Sheeran song.
like the laser,
What else did you just say? Please forgive me. Please forgive me. I don't know what to do. Oh my gosh, that's so hysterical.
please forgive me.
I really did. We should just speak in music lyrics from now
You
on.
caught that, right? Subliminal messaging.
Oops, I did it again.
But that would be
My
a very
apologies.
interesting
Continue.
episode.
Stop. Hammer time. No.
Oh, I'm going to stop here.
Go for it.
Um,
I'm finished.
Can I continue now? Are you done? Yeah. So I was thinking about maybe, I'm kind of torn because there's one thing to be said about becoming a specialist and expert in one area, kind of like what you're saying. But then also, if you can get more pieces of the event and increase your revenue per event, why not consider it? Now, some things are really maybe not worthwhile.
I hate
Like
it.
I don't
It's
think the
just such a
traffic
sloppy
station. I know
product.
this is controversial. I didn't really like doing that. It wasn't worthwhile to me. The laser tag maybe a little too much. But there are other things
God.
that I see. Like for example,
Where is the standard
this
going?
is very small, but the popcorn machine. I know
popcorn
it's not
machine.
your thing. I've had clients ask me for that. Yes.
Well, I got
Obviously,
asked to do
I
a
didn't do
coffee
it,
station, and I
but
did it because I wanted a big coffee
you
maker.
could
So
if
I
you
guess
really
I
wanted
can
to make
kinda
that extra
see
revenue.
that.
Now it's
Like I have a commercial like bun coffee maker now.
right. But then all right, so I thought about the same thing. Will that fit my brand? Right? You got to get someone
I
dressed
would
up in
love
like
to see
the,
your brother do that.
like the Disney outfit.
But the funny thing is, your brother could
Do I wanna
probably
be
pull
doing
off
that?
that
I
look
don't
with like
know.
the little like newsboy hat. I would love that. Let's sell popcorn stations. I am so behind this now.
Yeah. So I don't know about that. But then I started looking at game rentals because this is something that clients have asked me. They've asked me about that too. And I've been at events where the client asked me for it. I said that we don't have that. And then I go to the event and they hired somebody else for like a basketball shooting
Sure.
event.
Well, and that's easy to
So-
procure.
Exactly. So I'm really looking at game rentals. The question is which ones to focus on, which ones will people actually book and are worth? Are not
Funny enough, this is for a Christmas party. Someone asked me for essentially like a Chippendales style waiter with literally just like no shirt, just the cufflinks and the collar on the. No. That is
Ryan's
just
like, I can
because
do
it was a
that.
referral, and she's like, "Can you help her with this?" I'm like, "Oh, this is just the dumbest thing ever." But again, I would much rather bid it out, have someone else do it, and make a little bit of money, and just say that I took care of it for them rather than have them. You know what? If someone is going to have me do something, yes, it's going to be more expensive than if you were to find it yourself. If we did, the little like champagne walkers, or we got asked to do fortune tellers. Sure, I'll sell it to you. I mean, that was that carnival theme, but the more, especially with corporate stuff, they always want to put stuff on one bill. Now with me and my company, it's Urban Events, so I obviously can just throw it on my event order and kind of call it a day. And it's not necessarily so off-brand for me
because that's not my area of expertise, Chippendales. But I have had clients ask for like Santa rentals for holiday, corporate, family.
I guess it's
parties.
good to have like relationship with like entertainment companies that can provide Santas and stuff like that. But I'm not sure that's just my focus.
No, but that's where I was going with this. Is that
sorry?
Like I'm trying.
I need to interject this for a second. So, what if they were asking you for like a photo setup, but they wanted you to provide the Santa that's going in that setup as well? Would you do it?
I would.
Because I think it would make sense.
I would.
Okay, keep going.
Yeah,
sorry.
Of course. But where I am personally going, and this is maybe where you and I will veer off into different paths potentially. I am going to experiment as we get towards the end of this year, beginning of next year, of becoming more of a event business rather than just photo booths, because that's just where I see the revenue growth for me. And I started lining up partnerships with, let's say, photographers, event planners, DJs, things that I don't necessarily specialize in, and adding them to my team, like you just said, where people can come to me and I can give you the service, but I'm not necessarily the one that's doing the service. I have people that can do it for you, but the client doesn't need to know that. As far as they know, it's one company.
The monkey.
And I know you've done that before, where you've brought in
so this is a thing that I will,
and whatever else you've done, animals and whatnot.
Really tell anyone that is asking me for this sort of advice is, I built a business doing that, and I actually started with the event industry, doing wedding planning, and then I stopped doing that altogether and moved solely to products and doing event production. So I did flowers, linens, rentals, and photo booth came later. Now, so it was funny enough. We had the joke was we had a director of sub rentals because we would always rent out stuff from everyone else. But yeah, I would absolutely just put it on my event order. Yes, we're doing it. Yes, we're taking care of it. No big deal. Because that at the time was what a client really wanted. They didn't want to go to 10 different providers. They'd rather go to one. I hate the term one-stop shop, but I prefer comprehensive. But at the end of the day, that's what it was. So my advice is you have to be really careful with the people that you choose to align yourself with. And I know that we've had this issue with you where, you sub out to someone, somehow they get their information messed up. Yes, it's an honest mistake. However, it does happen. They show up at the wrong event. So there's one event that nobody showed up at. And that I think is where there's a little bit of a gray area. So the problem here is, let's say you're charging, $1,000 for something, and you're being charged, let's just make it easy and say $500. So your profit is $500. Whereas you hire someone, you pay out that $500, that person screws up, you have to refund. Do you go to that person for the refund, or do you eat it and just refund the whole $1,000 to that client and, lose out on your $500 profit because of whoever you chose to align yourself with? Whether or not whoever was at fault. The point is the client doesn't need to know that it was a third party that screwed up. That still falls on you.
Yeah. No, that's a great point. I've been in that situation. We've talked about this in a previous episode. So I think it depends on the specific details of the situation. But yeah, you're right. There's definitely issues that you can run into that you'd have to find a way to resolve it. And it's hard to say how to do it without knowing all the particulars of that problem. But yeah, no, you're totally right. There are definitely issues that can come up.
So again, like I've done it, you're doing it backwards the way how I did it. Like you start out with photo booth first, and then you're kind of expanding on everything else from there, which is completely fine. It was just different path. For me, it was it was always part of the business model to always add on something. So our previous logo was 3 dots. There was a floral dot, a furniture dot, and a lighting dot. And the running joke was every year we added a dot. So then there was a photo booth dot, a table dot, and you keep on adding things as to whatever it is you're offering. So it was part of our business model and our culture to do that. So much so that whenever we were in interviews and we were interviewing someone, and part of what I was looking for in an employee, and to this day I will still look for that. If you are, what do you bring to the table? Because I am all about the company evolving as to the people that work in it. So, for example, a while back, I had a videographer. Great, fantastic. I will start booking videography for you. Granted, if I know what the skill level is, if I know, like, if this person is actually capable of it, once I know all that stuff, I have no problem adding that on. Because all it does is, it's, again, one more line item for me to just kind of add on, one thing to put on the website. Zach who? Oh, Zach Thomas.
Yeah, and I'm thinking back to when we had Zach on the show, and Zach, he was a DJ, and he was telling us about how he was really recommending uplighting as a add-on, right? So I'm really fascinated with people who are having success with adding on other products and services. And another thing that, again, this may be a little bit far out there.
Thank you so much for listening, everyone.
Something that some people seem to really do well with is inflatables.
I get it.
I know that doesn't. It's tough because you have a great point about being off-brand. You have to. No, but you know what, Ryan? These are things that people really, really think about, right? And it kind of depends on the area.
The insurance.
Like for me, the inflatables would only be used a couple months of the year. You have to have all this logistical stuff behind it. And then you start going into this rabbit hole where the insurance, the staff, the equipment, the trucks, and then you start going down the rabbit hole where I've been at events, and for those of you who don't know, I live on Long Island, New York, and that's where the Hamptons are. There are some like crazy rich people that have ridiculous events in the Hamptons, and we've been to some where they pay
draping,
like 6 figures for tent rentals. And I'm not talking about a regular tent. It's like hardwood floor, kitchen area.
All money,
so
no
for
problems.
A weekend, yeah, it's crazy. So then you start thinking, is that something I should be doing or looking into? But of course, everything comes with its own challenges. And yeah, you have to determine what fits your brand, what you're willing to do work-wise. So it's kind of a tough. I don't have any answers at the moment because I'm thinking about these things too. But from talking to people one-on-one, I definitely get the sense that the majority of listeners are thinking about how to add more, or some people have already done or have added stuff, and it's either worked well or not worked at all. And I'd love to hear from people's experience. If you have any experience adding things that either worked very well or you decided it was not worth it at all, please come into the Facebook group and let us know. I personally would appreciate it because this is something I'm trying to figure out as well.
See, I think I'm in this weird little phase of I'm clearly down from where I was last year. I don't think I'll end up completely down. I think I'll be up this year. Just for the moment right now, I guess there's just been a little slump. And I'm not really focusing on the upgrades and, everything that I could potentially be focusing on. like for me, I think one thing that I would really love to do would be I've always loved flowers. I've been a florist for I don't know how long. Like I would love to do a backdrop entirely made of flowers. And like that's something that I would just kind of like to do. I haven't found, the particular client that I can do this for. I think I might be able to do it by the end of the year. I'm going to make that a goal, and I'm putting it out into the world right now that I would like to do an entire backdrop made entirely of fresh flowers for a client. You have my word.
So I know you were joking about inflatables and whatever other add-ons we were talking about, but what do you really feel for people like myself and people who are listening that are trying to find ways to add things and squeeze more revenue out of each event? What's your advice, and how do you really look at it? Because like you said, you've been there and you went more towards the photo booths. Why? Like, how do you really evaluate this? What's your advice?
So the advice that I would give is do whatever is being asked of you, because it's clearly what fits your brand. And I'm always for having the client come to you as, I guess, like the proof. Like, here's the proof that this is something that is needed, For me, I think that the way how I always did it was the exact same way. I mean, the reason why I ended up in photo booths was because we were being asked for it. And I found out that I was losing business because they went with a company that already had a photo booth. My issue here was DJs were including a photo booth. And I thought on the other end of it, well, if I'm doing event production, it fits within our brand. So I absolutely can add on a photo booth. And I did it free. So if a client would spend, 10 grand with me, they would get a photo booth for free. And this is back when, we were doing, $1,200 a photo booth rental, $1,500 a photo booth rental. I mean, it was clearly different back then. I think that you should do whatever fits your brand. I think that you should do whatever is being asked of you, because that means that your client is trusting you to deal with whatever particular part of an event that they obviously feel that you're capable of. So, for example, there are times where, can you do lighting? Yeah, absolutely. Come to think of it, lighting is something I was really good at that I don't think that I've really put forth effort into selling. And I think I probably could. But again, I don't know. I just think do whatever is best for you and your brand.
That's good advice. And it sounds like you're saying, like, would you draw the line anywhere? Like, we're talking about inflatables and laser tag. Would you draw the line anywhere, or you would really?
Yes.
You would?
Yeah, absolutely. So the way how it has been best described to me by one of my good friends is do not purchase anything that you would not use in your own home. So I clearly am not going to have anything inflatable in my home. Granted, you know what? If I have a big family and, we're getting together for Easter and we have, a gigantic, moon bounce thing to where, hey, we could probably use this, whenever the family gets together. Yeah, I might absolutely consider purchasing something like that if I'm selling it, if I'm doing this other stuff. But otherwise, I don't think I'll buy it. I think that if you don't use it yourself, there's no reason for you to, I guess, be selling it either.
Yeah, I'm not as quick to hate on things like that because, like I said, I live around a lot of really rich areas, and I see, these people like the Kardashians at the Hamptons. They got inflatables, man. They got inflatables.
They have
for
body
kids
parts
in
that
their
are
yard.
inflatable.
So
that is very on brand for them.
I got nothing to add to that.
Next week on Super Boothers.
That camper. I see those all over the place.
Yeah. But not for photo booths.
No.
I'm the one.
Right. But like he doesn't know.
How do you haul this thing?
Just behind a normal car.
Okay. It's a small tray. It's no bigger than.
It's like 3 meters.
Yeah, it's very tiny.
Yeah.
You see them all over Denmark.
Yeah.
There's one in Dallas that's like this.
There's so many of these, but when I started, I looked all over the place, searched every page I could find. No one had a